It is the intention of this board to promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Tarpon Springs by providing an equitable, effective, and inexpensive method of enforcing various codes within the city of Tarpon Springs. Any aggrieved party may appeal a final administrative order of this board to the circuit court. Such appeal shall be filed within 30 days of the execution of the order to be appealed. Florida Statute 286.0105 requires any party appealing a decision of this board to have a record of the proceedings to support such an appeal. The procedure of this board follows with each case on its agenda is as follows. First, the city presents its witnesses and exhibits, after which the violator is able to ask the city's witnesses any specific questions regarding their testimony. Secondly, the violator is allowed to make a presentation and present any evidence or documents. Then the city can question the violator's witnesses. After both rounds of testimony, both on the part of the city and on the part of the violator, each party is asked to give a closing statement, first by the city, then by the violator. After those three steps are taken, this board then closes the public hearing portion of the case to discuss it and take appropriate action. Before we begin the public hearings, we will have all potential witnesses please stand up and be sworn by the Secretary of the Board.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is whole truth and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you.
And please turn off all cell phones or at least put them on silent. Thank you. And we will proceed right to case item number 1 on the agenda, please.
This is case 12-8000925. This is vacant lot on North Avenue, and the property owner of record is Dorothy Clark. Forgive me. My name is Cindy Sander, and I'm the Code Enforcement Inspector for the City of Tarpon Springs. Is there anyone here in the audience for this case? Seeing none, I'll start the photos down the row. On December 6th, we received a complaint that this property was overgrown and not being maintained. I conducted a site visit on December 7th of 2012 and confirmed the complaint. In addition, there was an accumulation of trash and debris on the lot. This property was in violation of codes 8-22, accumulation of trash and debris on private property, 8-40, duty of maintenance of private property, and 8-52, nuisance prohibitions. The property owner was sent a courtesy letter on December 7th and a notice of violation on December 26th. On January 16th, 2013, the property owner's son called and asked for a 2-week extension, which was granted. A notice of hearing was sent via first-class mail and certified return receipt on February 5th, 2013. The site visit was conducted prior to each notification going out. The property was posted on February 27th. I conducted an inspection yesterday, March 13th, and found that the lot has been bush hogged and the yard debris piled up by the front of the property. I had a conversation with the property owner's son, Wade Clark, on the 12th, and he assured me that he would have the debris removed within a week. He is making arrangements for its disposal. The property is in violation of codes 8-22, 8-40, and 8-52. My recommendations are a compliance date of April 1st, 2013, and a daily fine thereafter of $25 a day.
Does the board have any questions for the city?
Okay, just for clarity's sake, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vesey just here, Mr. Plunkett, even though you're going to sit there, you're an alternate. You're not going to participate now because Mr. Vesey just came in.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So we're not going to move you again.
Okay. I wouldn't move. Wasn't here on time. He moved to his seat.
All right. So I just want to make that clear. So, Mr. Vesey, you're a regular member, so you're involved in the vote and the consideration. Ms. Dabbs is not. Ms. Plunkett is not.
Good luck speaking into the mic.
You can use mine.
We'll share down there.
All right. Well, if there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion on this case.
I move based on the testimony, evidence, facts presented in law, that at the time of the alleged violation, 8-22, 8-40, and 8-52 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Tarpon Springs were enforced. The respondent has until the first day of April 2013 to come into compliance with the code sections, or a fine of $25 per day shall be imposed for each day thereafter the respondent remains in violation of the code sections.
I'll second.
Thank you, Becky. Bobby, will you please receive those into evidence, those photos into evidence? Any discussion from the board? Hey, Bobby, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Swansky?
Here. That'd be yes?
Yes.
Mr. Tomasis?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Sansoda?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, item number 2, please.
I believe the property owner is in the audience, so I would like him to look at these photos to confirm that
Okay.
they are this property.
And please state your name and address into the microphone for the record, please.
Russ Bowley, 1124 East Boyer Street.
Attorney Michael Boyle. Business address 3900 First Street North, St. Petersburg, Florida.
This is case 13-800000002. The property address is 1124 East Boyer Street, and the property owner of record is Russ Bowl. This case is coming before you to be established. This is a proactive case on January 2nd. This property owner had obtained a permit to cut down a tree, but the tree debris was still on the property. In addition, there was a flatbed trailer parked on the grassy right-of-way along Jasmine Avenue. This property was in violation of codes 8-22, accumulation of trash and debris on private property, 8-40, duty of maintenance of private property, 8-52, nuisance prohibitions, 133.02, tree maintenance, and 42.00, parking of recreational vehicles in residential areas. The property owner was sent a courtesy letter on January 2nd, 2013, and a notice of violation on January 22nd. A notice of hearing was sent via first-class mail and certified return receipt on February 7th. A site visit was conducted prior to each notification going out. On January 14th, there was a large boat parked on the grassy right-of-way, and on January 22nd, a flatbed trailer was parked in the same location. I posted the property on February 27th and noticed that the tree debris had been removed. That made this property in compliance for codes 8-22, 8-40, 8-52, and 133.02. I conducted a reinspection yesterday and found the property to be in compliance. Since 2001, there have been 14 cases regarding this property, 7 of which were for code 42.00. The property owner continued to park trailers, RVs, and boats on the grassy right-of-way even after being repeatedly cited. Please find the property in violation of code 42.00 to be established.
Does the board have any questions for the city? And no witnesses for the city, right? No witnesses?
Myself.
Okay. All right, then at this time, if you'd like to make an opening statement.
I would. It sounds like what the issue we have here is him moving some items that he owns in and out of his backyard and staging them in that location. He does own a boat, and he does own a trailer, and he was taking down a tree. The tree is in compliance.
He was taking it down the tree?
I believe there was some tree debris that was removed and was in compliance. Now, it's not his intention to, knowingly and willfully break any city ordinances, but there is an issue about him moving some things from the access point that he has in his backyard out into where he can get it out of the yard. And there may be moments where he has to unhitch or rehitch and move some things around, take one trailer out to get another trailer out to move things around. I don't believe that he's habitually violating any ordinance violations or doing anything that's out of the ordinary that would be unusual given the circumstances. I don't think that there's any need to take any action. I think that he is in compliance as Mr. Spanner had indicated, and he has become compliant every time he's been informed of a violation or that he's done anything wrong. I don't know. There are some issues with whether or not he's violating at certain times or other times that he has questions about that he and I have talked about, but I think that this issue is something that doesn't need any action at this point.
Okay.
Okay, all of that, just so that you understand, is not testimony, it's an argument on behalf of the attorney. He has the opportunity to present evidence if he wants to do that, but that was just argument. Okay? So, Mr. Boyle, do you have any testimony or evidence that your client wants to present?
Yes, I'd like to call Mr. Boley.
Okay.
Mr. Boley, do you own the boat that was pictured in that?
Yes.
Do you own the trailer that was pictured in that?
Yes.
Is it necessary for you to sometimes unhitch a trailer to get another trailer, boat and trailer out of there?
Yes.
And is it your intention to permanently store boats or trailers on that right away?
Yes. They all fit in the backyard, but to move one, I have to move the other one. So if I move one out to use one for the day, it's hard to move two of them and put one back away for a 6 or 8 hour period.
Now, is it your intention to store vehicles of any kind for long periods of time on that right away?
No, no more than 8 hours, 24 hours.
Have you ever refused to be compliant when told that you were?
No.
Have you?
I remember 3 notices throughout the 8 years I've owned the house, and every time within the notice period, it's been taken care of almost immediately.
And when this violation was brought to your attention, did you become compliant?
Yes.
Did you move whatever was the issue?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Does the board have any questions for the violator?
May I ask how long you've lived there?
Since April of 2005.
I have a question. You indicated that sometimes you have to leave it out there for 6 to 8 hours. Why would you not be able to put it back in if you know that you're taking one boat out or one trailer out and it's going to be 6 or 8 hours? Why would you not move it back in for that 6 or 8 hours?
Because say if I had to get one trailer out, I have to move the other trailer to get the second trailer out. And if I have to use that second trailer, I have to unhook it and then hook up the other one, back it in. It's just a time thing more than anything. And for 8 hours, I didn't think it was an issue.
But apparently, apparently it is, and apparently, at least according to your own acknowledgement, there's been 3 or 4 times, or 3 times that you said that they talked to you about this.
I've got notices the 3 times over 8 years, and I did not. And I was very unaware of exactly what was going on, and this whole thing of not at all. I knew I couldn't store anything there. I knew I couldn't permanently park anything there. I did not think a 6 or 8 hour time period was an issue. So it's kind of a learning experience for me here. So that's why I'm just trying to learn what I need to take care of. And if I do, obviously need to do that, I can. I just did not know that.
Has there ever been an instance where you've parked it there overnight?
Yeah, if I'm using the trailer early in the morning, instead of opening the gates, running my diesel truck early in the morning, waking up neighbors to pull something out, I will park it there overnight. I'll park it there in the evening, come home, hook it up, and then leave early in the morning. Mainly as a courtesy, I've got a couple neighbors that are elderly. I don't want to have my truck in chains and make noise at 4 or 5 in the morning and wake them up. So I more do it for a courtesy to them.
Any more questions from the board?
Are you operating a business out of the residence?
No, it's all private.
There's no construction?
All personal stuff.
That trailer is a personal trailer?
Yeah, both trailers and the boat are my personal trailers.
Any questions?
No.
Any other questions by the board?
I have a question for the city. Have you noticed more than one or two instances where it has been parked or some vehicle or trailer has been parked, like maybe 2 consecutive days in a row or anything, as far as your inspections are concerned?
The complainant stated that he's only received 3 letters. There have been 7 letters that we've sent out with regards to Code 42.00. And there have been instances where I've driven by the property and noticed something on the right-of-way that I didn't even bother with, because I had gotten to a point that it was just becoming ridiculous that there was something parked on the right-of-way. At one point, one of the trailers was very close to the stop sign, created an issue with visibility, and it just seems to be, it's just a recurring thing. I understand what Mr. Foley is saying and why, but his backyard is loaded with vehicles. So, whether it's 6 hours, 8 hours, it's still a violation of code.
If I could just comment to that one statement. She said stated earlier there were 7 letters that were sent since 01. He's only lived there since 05, so it's possible, and I don't know what the breakdown of those letters are, but it's possible there may have been some that were sent before he lived there.
No, the ones for Code 42.00 are ones that I have issued myself since I started 5 years ago.
Any other questions for the city?
No, sir.
Any other questions from the board? Cindy, would you like to make a closing statement?
All I want to do is find him in violation in order to establish for Code 42.00.
He's still in violation of one code, correct? 42?
No, he's currently in compliance
Oh, okay.
for Code 42.00, but I'd like you to find him that he was in violation in order to be established.
Okay.
And then the ramifications being?
The next time I either receive a complaint or I drive by the property and there is a trailer, RV, parked on or a boat parked on the grassy right-of-way, he will be in violation at that point, and the fines will start from that point until compliance.
And would you like to make a closing statement?
I would. I think that's an unnecessary step at this point. We haven't heard anything of him being out of compliance for more than a moment at a time. And now, with all this coming to light, I think Mr. Boley understands what we're talking about. I think it would be a mistake to set the wheels in motion where fines could start being levied without any due process to Mr. Boley, without any notice. I think that's going to set us down a very slippery path, given the scenario we're talking about. I mean, what you just described would create a scenario where he could have things in his backyard, pull out, get out of his truck to check the air, and somebody snaps a picture, and now all of a sudden fines are getting levied, and we've got a situation. I would just ask that we don't take any action today. It sounds like things are in compliance. The message is clear. We understand what we need to do. I don't think anything needs to be done.
I think it's interesting that you use the term "a moment" when, by his own testimony, your client indicated 6 to 8 hours. I'm surprised you used the term "a moment."
I'm talking about in the future, sir. If we take the action that the city is asking for, it could be a moment that could trigger a situation like this, a situation where fines are being levied and we don't know the backstory. So I think that it would be a mistake to create that environment.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to close the public portion of this proceeding. and, board discussion on this.
Well, I think Cindy is right in asking for us to do this. By his own admission, Mr. Bowley says that he leaves them there overnight, and Cindy's not the kind of person that's going to run out there if he runs in to eat lunch while he's changing a trailer and moving around. But I can see where she's frustrated that this has been going on, and he hasn't taken her serious. This will make him take her serious. So I believe we ought to go ahead and flag him to establish.
I also see the predicament, though, that they were mentioning in that there could be a hypothetical, but there could be a situation where it's out there just for a switcheroo, and a picture could be taken and a fine could be levied. And that's an interesting predicament.
Well, the fine wouldn't be levied, though, unless there was a hearing, and I think that at a hearing, if it came to that, we could determine how long the person who took that picture waited to see whether it was going to be done or not.
Good point, Carl.
So, I mean, the fine isn't necessarily automatic, is it? There would be a charge, but we'd have to hear that as a case, and I think it could be determined then. And again, I would support the comments already made concerning the way the city inspector handles herself. I don't think that would be a problem.
Oh, I have the utmost of confidence in Cindy. I don't mean to indicate anything otherwise, but it is an interesting scenario that he brought to light. Any other questions or board discussion? Okay, would somebody like to make a motion?
I will. I move based on the test. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I wasn't sure. It looks like it's different.
You just kind of stop a little bit ahead. If you want, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I don't know how to do it.
You'll learn real quick.
I move based on the testimony, evidence, facts presented in law that at the time of the alleged violation 42.00 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs were enforced. The respondent was in violation.
Second.
Discussion? Bobby, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Swansky?
Yes.
Mr. DeMontis?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Mr. Vesey?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Sansota?
Yes. Okay. Then we'll move on then.
Mr. Ball, I would ask that in the future, if you plan on placing something out there, which you're really not supposed to, but if it's just going to be for a couple hours, would you please call my office and let us know?
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
We'll proceed to the next item, item number 3, please. Are you Mr. Jones?
Yes, I'm Mr. Wallace, representing Mrs. Jones.
Will you please state your name and address into the microphone for the record?
Jasper Wallace,
404 South Gross Avenue,
Tarpon Springs.
Thank you. And Mr. Wallace? Okay. Thank you.
We're going to have Mr. Wallace review some photos of the property.
Okay.
We need to find out whether he's a lawyer and how does he have a connection to the property. Does he have authority to testify?
Mr. Wallace, what is your connection to the property, and do you have authority to testify on behalf of Mr. Jones?
Yes, I'm part owner of Safford Land Trust.
Pardon?
I'm part owner of Safford Land Trust.
Partial owner?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Bobby, if you receive those previous photos and the evidence, please.
This is case 13-8000036. The property address is 209 East Harrison Street. The trustee is Victoria Jones for the Safford Land Trust. On December 11th of 2012, we received a complaint that there was an RV parked on this property and that someone was living in it. There were electrical cords and cable running from the house to the trailer. A site visit was conducted the next day, and I confirmed the complaint. The property owner had been warned in the past that no one was to reside in the trailer, and that was for case 12-8000356 on June 12th of 2012. Now, this case was originally opened as 12-800000942, and I'll explain further. This property was in violation of codes 25.21, Pinellas Corridor District, and 42.00, parking of recreational vehicles in residential areas. The property owner of record, as determined by the Pinellas County Tax Collector, was sent a notice of violation on December 12th of 2012. On January 15th of 2013, a site visit was conducted, and the electrical cord had been disconnected. But I planned to take the case to Code Board to be established. On January 16th, a notice of hearing was sent first-class mail and certified return receipt to the property owner of record. As of January 23rd, there was a new trustee appointed for the Safford Land Trust. So the original case was closed, and this case was opened on January 28th of 2013. A notice of violation was issued to the new trustee on January 28th, and a notice of hearing was sent via first-class mail and certified return receipt on February 26th. A site visit was conducted prior to each notification going out. On February 8th, we received a call from Mr. Wallace asking for an extension. He was trying to sell the RV, so I granted him a 2-week extension. I posted the property on February 27th. A site visit was conducted on March 13th. The RV is still on the property. I could see an orange electrical cord coming from the house, but I couldn't tell if it was attached to the RV. I spoke to Mr. Wallace, and he assured me that it was not connected to the RV. Although the property is currently in compliance, I would like you to please find the property in violation of codes 42.00 and 25.21 to be established. And in the photos, you'll see some furniture that has been placed out front of the trailer. Mr. Wallace also assured me that that furniture would be removed.
Okay. And the board, do you have any questions for the city? Okay, Mr. Wallace, would you like to make a statement?
Yes. I told Cindy Santa that no one was living in the property. And I told her I was going to go ahead and I was just tired of all the letters. And the reason it was transferred from my attorney, he was tired of receiving all of these letters as well. She tells me I have to move something from the property. But she's telling me I have to move the RV, which I don't have to remove. And then she'll tell me, okay, just remove the cord. And I removed the cord, but she said she still wanted to bring me up here regardless. So, and I've been having a problem with Cindy since it's been on the property for over 5 years. And now me and Cindy had a problem with this property is part of the PTC, and it's not just residential. It's a big restaurant was on the property. Right now it's also being occupied by a church, and I own the big parking lots on both sides of it. So therefore, me and Cindy she sent me a letter because the church had redid the roof on the property, and she sent me a letter because there were debris in my parking lot. So I told her, okay, well, that's the church. I'm going to tell them to either move it or they can't park there anymore. So she called me when the church called her and told her that they needed more time. So she told me to give them more time. I told her, no, I gave them 2 weeks. So they can't park on the property until further notice. And after that is when I started receiving all of these letters. And I talked to planning and zoning, and they said, yes, you have every right to have your RV on that property. But I keep getting these letters telling me that you must remove the RV from the property. And if you look at the PTC of the property, it's more than one use. The first use is business and professional offices. The second is community service uses. The third is multi-family dwelling. The fourth is personal service establishment. The fifth is public parks and recreational facilities. The sixth is retail food establishment. The seventh is retail sales establishment. The eighth is single-family detachment. And the ninth is single-family detachment dwelling. And those are the permitted uses for the property right now from the city. So I don't know why I keep having to get these letters from Sydney County.
Does the board have any questions?
The two cases that we have had with regards to the trailer at 209 East Harrison have both been complaints that we received. They were not proactive. And because of the cord would be unplugged and that would be plugged back in again. And that's why I'd asked that he remove the RV from the property. Now the RV, and I was going to ask that you make that part of the compliance. The RV is parked to code where it currently is. It's in disrepair. But all I'm asking now is that you find the property in violation of 42.00 to be established. And the next time I see a cord running to the RV, it's going to be indication that somebody is living in the RV again, which is not allowed unless you're in a mobile home park. You cannot, regardless of where you put an RV, no one can live in it unless it's in a licensed mobile home park.
I have a question. If I want to go into my trailer and use my computer, am I allowed to just go in my trailer and use my computer?
Attorney Trask, that would be an interpretation that you would have to.
Code provision 42.00 has a bunch of subparagraphs. The paragraph that Ms. Sander is referring to is paragraph I that reads, no recreational vehicle shall be used for living, sleeping, or housekeeping purposes except within an approved recreational vehicle park. The other provisions don't necessarily apply. In my mind, to answer your question, it would be my opinion that you could use your computer inside the recreational vehicle because it would not be considered living, sleeping, or housekeeping purposes.
In which case, you need a extension cord.
Not necessarily. They have battery packs.
Well, I have a laptop, and once it starts to die, I have to plug it in to charge it back up.
Not only is it a violation of code, but it's also a violation of fire code. You cannot have an extension cord supplying power to an external structure. It's a violation of a code. So if you're going to use your laptop or whatever in there, fine and dandy from what the attorney says, but simple solution, get rid of the extension cord.
I did.
Well,
but I was just wanted to ask the question.
Because our inspector is still able to see it on different occasions on drive-by. That's a violation, as far as I'm concerned, two violations. One for the code and one for fire.
She didn't say it. She says I'm in compliance. She says she thinks she saw one.
There is an orange outside extension cord plugged into the house that goes towards the RV, but I can't see if it's attached to the RV because I don't trespass on properties.
Why would a cord be attached to the house going to the RV, not attached?
It's not a cord going to the RV, period.
Well, then why don't you get the extension cord and completely disconnect it from the house so nobody can see it, and then it wouldn't be one of the main concerns or main problems. But with that cord there, that's opening up the possibility, is he using it? Plus it's a violation of fire code.
Is the house occupied?
There's a question.
Yeah,
My question is yours. Has someone been putting the knife in the table?
No. No. Because I can't sell it, really.
Is the house occupied?
Yes. And the furniture that you saw outside, I'm sure the police have some police reports. I just had a tenant evicted from the property, and the sheriff put him out probably a week ago, and I had to sit his stuff outside, and then she just went and took a picture and saw one of his beds. He removed most of his clothes, so she took a picture and saw a bed, and I'm feeling like the other guy. What if I do evict a tenant and she goes and take a picture of a bed? All of a sudden, now she brings it to the board saying, I don't understand.
You're not being charged with violation for the furniture that's at the curb. You're being found in violation of 42.00, which is the RV alone. And typically with an eviction or something like that, I always give at least 10 to 14 days for compliance. So if I would notice additional furniture out there, let's say in a month from now, you would be sent a courtesy letter and given 10 days to 2 weeks to bring the property into compliance.
Well, I talked to you yesterday, and you was telling me about the bed, and I was like, the police just came, and the sheriff just kicked the guy out. I'm like, is that going to be brought up?
You didn't tell me that you had evicted somebody, but you did say that you would have it removed within a few days.
Yeah.
So the house is not now occupied?
Yes, it is.
It is occupied.
Any other questions? Closing statement, Cindy, by the city?
None. Thank you.
Would you like to make a closing statement, Mr. Wallace?
The cord won't be there. Something like that.
Okay. Okay, at this point, I'm going to close the public portion. And, board, any discussion? I can see both sides here. I mean, the cord could be used for an electric weed eater or something, right? But I could see how it'd be heading over toward the RV misconstrued for keeping that thing permanently hooked up and keeping it put up is a real safe way of following things. I'd like to say that that was a good perception, Jerry, about the fire code, but it's something that we can only chat about. It's something that we can't because it wasn't written up that way. Well, if there's no more discussion, I'll entertain a motion. You want to try? Yeah. Okay.
Repeat up the force, right?
Based on the testimony, evidence, facts presented in law, that at this time of alleged violation, section 42.0, is that correct? Of the code ordinance of the city of Tarpon Springs, force in 25.21.
Right down on the bottom are the two codes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all?
Do we have a second?
Second.
I didn't hear the part of the motion. You said it was in full force and effect, and the property owner was in violation thereof?
She can go on to say that, but she will.
Okay, we need that in the motion.
That's all right. That's okay. So then just put that little addendum on it.
Is that what you wanted to add?
Yes.
Okay.
That the,
Property owner was in violation thereof?
and also that the property owner was in violation thereof.
Okay. And second from
Second.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Becky, for making the motion. Any other discussion by the board?
This 42.0 is, as quoted by the attorney, indicated that it talks about can't be used as a residence. You can't have anybody in there living there.
Actually living in it.
That's part of 42.0.
No one's never been living there.
I had, the complainant,
We've closed the public, testimony, so we can't go into discussion only between the board.
Let me ask, perhaps I misunderstood, but didn't 42.0, as you quoted Mr. Trask, indicate that the issue of it can't be used to house anybody?
That's right. There are.
And apparently, isn't it not the testimony of the city inspector that that was what you perceived was happening because of the extension cord?
Both times we received a complaint with regards to the property, the complainant stated that they knew that somebody was living in the RV.
So then, in fact, 40... That's fine. Yeah.
So we had, we've gone and there wasn't...
Well, you don't. Right.
Well, Cindy's depending on the statements made by people who think they have seen lights in there at night. Cindy doesn't work at night. She has to depend on people reporting things like that.
Well, it comes down to credibility.
We have somebody making statements under oath. It would be nice to have the witnesses here, but we don't have that luxury.
Electric cord running out there is a dead giveaway as far as I'm concerned. And even if he takes the orange one away, he could put the orange one back down and throw leaves on top of it, or a piece of mat or something. So she doesn't go on the property. So it's legal to have an RV on your property when it is apparently being lived in, and using a computer out there, I have a problem with that. If he isn't living there, why doesn't he use his computer and then take it where he lives and recharge it?
Yeah, but it could be all sorts of things. I mean, he did state that he wanted to sell the RV. He could have a vacuum out there cleaning it.
Or make a bowl of soup, and all of a sudden you're living in it. Now you have to vacuum an empty RV.
If you see her picture, she has a lock on it.
Unfortunately, we can't have any public testimony on the longer, Mr. Wallace. Right. Okay.
He's not being fined. This was like a warning, right?
Right.
Just established.
Yeah.
Seems to me we need a code that says you can't live on an RV. Instead of, remove the RV, if you're caught living in the RV, then that's, it's not here and now. But maybe something needs to be done in that respect.
Well, this is establishing so that if somebody is found to be living in the RV, it's an instant, it brings them here before us.
Well, then I don't see the problem with going forward, because apparently, according to this gentleman, it hasn't happened, and it won't happen. So if we put this in force, he's indicating no one lives here, so we'll never see it again. But at least we have to believe one side or the other. So the way I look at it is, if we agree to establish it, and if the gentleman is correct, then we won't ever have to hear such an incident.
Right.
But if he's not correct and there is somebody living here, then we'll be able to take some action. So I don't see where there's a problem, because we're not finding anybody. We're just establishing that it should not be done. According to this gentleman, it isn't being done. Each of us has to determine whether we believe that testimony or not. But it's not like we're going to find this gentleman and find out later that we made a mistake. And so I don't understand that there should be too much problem with the vote here. That's my own thoughts on it.
I'm just trying to put an RV on my property and think, what would I be doing if I'm storing the RV out there? But I need a extension cord hooked up to it for any purpose. And if an extension cord is hooked up to it, granted the fire safety code, is there another violation there to have a cord hooked up to an RV overnight?
But you'd also have to add into that scenario that that there's been 2 complaints regarding the fact that somebody suspects that there is someone living there. Because as the inspector testified, she had gotten 2, did you indicate 2 complaints? So it's not just that somebody had a cord in there, but apparently, whether they were correct or not, two people felt the need to complain to the city. You indicated this wasn't proactive. You didn't just go out searching it out yourself, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So I think that has to be considered.
I actually do understand that if you do have a big old motorhome parked on your property, you may want to have the air conditioning and not be running a generator just to, kind of keep a temperature control in there. But again, we've got people that have called Cindy and said there's somebody living in that. And that's the difference. And we all know that she's not going to tell him to remove the RV. He's trying to sell it. So it's not that she's trying to bully him and, make the RV go away. She's just trying to establish that if somebody is caught living in there, that she has something that she can do with it.
And if no one's been living in there, then there's not going to be an issue, because no one will ever get caught living there.
I'm just trying to figure out what would you use to determine whether or not somebody's living in the RV?
Drive by and
would that extension cord suffice?
Usually if I find that situation, I try to get a hold of the property owner to find out why it's connected. And in most cases, I've got a friend from out of state who came down and they're staying in the RV.
I didn't know. I don't own an RV, but so I couldn't do that at my house then if it was parked in my driveway, if somebody visited for the weekend.
You cannot use it as living quarters.
We had one
Well,
neighbor's front yard, right lakeside last year.
So much for sticking my mother-in-law on that. Okay. Well, if there's no more discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
We had the motion.
Oh.
We had the motion and we had a second.
That's right. That was all discussion. Wow. Okay. And no more discussion? Okay, Bobby, a roll call, please.
Valensky? On his good word, no.
Mr. DeMonte?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
No.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Santos?
No.
Motion passed 4-3.
Okay. Motion passed. All right. That'll conclude, but it is not a fine. It's just a possibility of a fine if something indicates that Cindy suspects somebody's living in the RV in the future. All right. We will now proceed to item number 5, right? Number 5.
This is case 13-8000042. The property address is 701 North Pinellas Avenue, and the property owners of record are Nicholas and Kathleen Matsis. The business owner of record is Jimmy Cabazzuto, and the business name is 701 Tap House. The respondent is in the audience. It is here. There are no photos. This is not a case where photos would be involved. This is proactive. On January 28th of this year, there were several feather flags displayed in front of this restaurant. There was no occupational license in our system for this business, so at that time this property was in violation of codes 11-1, occupational license, and 181.00, signs specifically prohibited. The property owner was sent a notice of violation on January 29th, and a notice of hearing was sent via first-class mail and certified return receipt on February 20th. A site visit was conducted prior to each notification going out. The property was posted on February 27th, and at that time I noticed that the feather flags had been removed. The property was in compliance for code 181.00. I conducted a reinspection yesterday. The business owner has submitted an application to the city for his occupational license, but has not yet supplied the city with his state business license or his state liquor license. And as of yesterday, he had not paid for the license. It's my understanding that the license has been paid for. This property is in violation of code 11-1, and I recommend a compliance date of April 15th, which gives the property owner and the business owner 30 days to obtain the state licenses, or a daily fine thereafter of $100 a day. And this business is currently open.
Any questions for the city? And if you'd please state your name and address for the record and to the mic.
James Capizzo, 626 Marine Parkway, Newport Richey, Florida. I'm the business owner. We've applied for our business license. We were waiting for the state to come back. We were actually assumed this business weren't working under the previous food license.
You're working under a previous food license?
That was the assumption that we were supposed to be working under. I assumed the business has the previous business, and now I'm waiting for the state to come back with my state license, and then we were going to supply it to the city. And so I have paperwork right here showing that there's all one pending in progress.
Okay. Would you do me a favor? Could you pull the mic closer to you? Thanks. Does the board have any questions?
No, we've had the liquor license from day one. We have a temporary license. We have all that paperwork right here.
Can I say a copy of that? Because the copy of the temporary license I have was issued January 2nd, and it was good only for 2 weeks. Or so did that one. Right, I have a copy of that one too. All right. It's my understanding in speaking to planning and zoning yesterday that this, retail beverage, it says temporary certificate active, and it was dated January 2nd, that this is only good for 14 days.
So what you have in your hand is the two...
I have the same copy that he just provided me with, that it's a temporary certificate. The temporary certificates are a very short period of time. But in any event, it's a lack of a city occupational license. I'd like him to have 30 days, please, to finish out the application process.
Okay, so business owner submitted an application to the city for the occupational license, but has not supplied the city with a state business license or state liquor license, and has not paid for the license yet. Is that still the case?
No, the license has been paid for.
The license has been paid for?
Evidently today, as of my writing this.
The 6th was the date it was paid.
The 6th? Right. Okay. Do you have a receipt showing that?
No, but I just definitely got that. It was paid on the 6th. That was the date. I went down to the court.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Please state your name and address for the...
Jason Zerillo, 83 Maple Avenue.
Palm Harbor, Florida. I'm co-owner.
Okay.
Yes. I went down and actually paid it on the 6th.
And I've got
It's actually for multiple, I'm sorry, can you go ahead?
No, I'm sorry. The paperwork I have shows payment pending. Could you do me a favor?
It was actually for multiple licenses. We have 4 for our machines, 1 for the bar, and then 1 for the occupational license. All were paid for at the same time.
Okay.
So they don't have their occupational license. It's a moot point as far as what status they're currently in. So whether he's paid or not really isn't the issue. It's part of the issue, but not the issue.
So the state
SU
business
is going to
license,
check with Karen Hartzog in licensing to see if he paid or not, which really doesn't matter.
but the state business license, the 30 days is a reasonable amount of time. It'll be sufficient
I believe so.
to cover any caveats?
Yeah. As far as along we are, it'll probably only be a few days. We've already applied for it. We're just waiting. It could be any day. They could have it delivered today for all we know. So 30 days is fine.
So the issue is, if you comply by April 15th, then there's
no point.
Right.
Okay.
Just make sure when you get that stuff you let her.
That's right.
Don't make her come look at it.
Yeah, we're waiting for the state for this.
Okay. Sorry,
I think there's no harm in going ahead with this.
Yeah. Any other questions by the board? Closing statement by the city?
None.
Closing statement?
None.
All right, and at this point, I'm going to close the public portion of the testimony. And let's have a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I move based on the testimony, evidence, facts presented in law that at the time of the alleged violation, Section 11-1 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs was enforced. The respondent has until the 15th of April 2013 to come into compliance with the code sections, or a fine of $100 per day shall be imposed for each day thereafter the respondent remains in violation of the said code section.
Do we have a second? Second. All right. Any board discussion?
No, just that I'm really glad to have you come in to the city.
Yeah.
I've been there and it's very good, so
Thank you.
I hope you'll come into compliance. So you can
We definitely will. Thank you.
All right. If I could have a roll call vote, please. Bobby?
Mr. Sylvester?
Yes.
Mr. Demasis?
Yes.
Ms. Archer?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mrs. Casey?
Yes.
And Mr. Sanford?
Yes. Okay.
Make sure and find out if you want to do some signage, what's legal, so you don't get in trouble
Yeah,
with
we
that.
told
But
everything is
advertising is good.
Yeah.
And I hope to come by and try you out.
Definitely, please. And thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sue, for going and getting that.
Okay. All right.
Case number 12-800000847-1016 Emerald Dwarf Trail. Is there anybody in the audience representing that property? 402 Shattuck Street, case number 12-8000927. Is there anybody in the audience representing that property? See if we could have a motion on the affidavits of noncompliance, please.
I move we accept the affidavits of noncompliance in case number 12-800000847 and case 12-800000927.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move we accept the affidavit of compliance in case number 12-800000966.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? The motion carries. And then with regard to old business, case number 10. Good afternoon, Mr. Haig.
Good afternoon.
Is there anybody in the audience for, the property on 1112 East Oakwood Street? Okay.
There's nothing showing.
Were you sworn in, sir? Okay, if I could have you swear into, Bobby?
Do you swear to testify about the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yeah. Okay, if you would please state your name and address for the records, into the mic.
John Cone, 1117 Lake Street, Tarpon Springs.
Okay, Cone, C-O-N-E?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and how are you, connected to the property?
My house is the one that's right next to it that the tree's gonna fall on if it falls.
Okay, we just need to let the city go ahead and proceed. I don't know what this case is all about. We're gonna, I guess, discuss the statement.
Okay, so you stand to be
A witness.
injured by the, okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Cone. Okay, and stay right there, and thank you, okay?
Okay, my name is Richard Haig, city arborist, senior engineering technician. I'm also a ISA certified arborist. This is case number 11-800-00880, which was heard before the board over a year ago. The owners of the property were found to be in violation of section 13302 for having a dead tree which is in danger of falling on the property of another. We have not had any response from the property owner or seen any action to take care of to mitigate the hazard. And as an effort to resolve the problem and somewhat relieve Mr. Cohn of the daily danger of a tree falling on his house, I am bringing this to you as an abatement where the city has funds set aside in life safety issues, where the city would have the tree removed or cut down to a height that the part that could fall on Mr. Cohn's house would be taken away and leave the stump and a portion of the tree would still remain. But I'd like to give you the history of the case first and a little bit of background. The case was heard before the board February 9th, 2012. They were found in violation. They were given a daily fine if they did not come into compliance. They have not come into compliance, and up until 2 days ago, the tree was still standing, still leaning towards Mr. Cohen's house. And we feel this is a extreme hazard and a life safety concern. And I'm asking that the Code Enforcement Board support a recommendation to the city manager to approve the use of city funds to remove this tree and protect Mr. Cohen and his family.
Remove the dangerous part of the tree.
Yes. Yes. We did have a meeting and we discussed some of the options were to have the entire tree removed. But I think it's our obligation to only remove the part of the tree that can fall on Mr. Cohen's property. And the benefit to the city is that this property would 1112 Oakwood Street would still be in violation because part of the dead tree is still standing. So their fine would continue. If we cut the tree to the ground, their fine would stop and it would be a benefit to them that I don't think we owe them that obligation.
And the abatement cost, I assume, would be less.
Yes, the less amount of tree we take out, the less the cost. Now, I do have photos. The property owner's not here, but I certainly would like to pass this along, if I could.
Are the property owners living there?
No, it's a rental home. The tax collector's information gives that address as the address of the property owner. But we also have a post office box address that was associated to the property. We've sent notifications to all the addresses we had available, and the certified mail came back unsigned.
Mr. Haig, I'm going to have Mr. Trask ask you some questions.
Mr. Haig, can you tell us whether this notice to appear was sent by certified mail? Was it sent by certified mail, the notice? Was
Yep. Yes, it was.
Was it signed for?
No.
Okay. Was the property posted?
Yes.
And when was the property posted?
Now, Mr. Trask, the property was found in violation last year.
I understand that, but
Okay, yeah, we did repost it so that they would be notified that we were having this hearing.
okay, that's what I'm asking though. Was it at least 10 days prior to today's date?
Yes, it was done on February 27th.
Okay. Okay, that's all. I just wanted to make sure that we got proper service, so if you're going to make any determination, because she's not here, that it won't come back to us. That's a technical issue here.
Is the lawn being maintained?
Yes, the house is being maintained. There's somebody living there. There's a renter. We checked the utility accounts, the utility billing, and there is a renter living there who's been there for, I think, about 7 months. So it is an income property.
Will the cost, even though we have an abatement, will the cost eventually be forwarded to the homeowner for the price of us cutting down the hazard part of the tree so that Mr. Cohn doesn't have to worry about that? Will that be passed on to the owner?
My understanding is yes, that it would be passed on as a lien on the property. Now, the photographs that I passed around, one thing was on the first page is a notice to appear, which we sent to the owner, identifying that the tree is it's a hazard and we need to take it out. The second picture is photographs, but I recorded dimensions to the neighbor's house. One house is 15 feet away, the other house is 30 feet away. The tree is approximately 45 feet tall.
Wow.
So it has the potential of hitting both houses.
How quick could this happen, Mr. Trask, if we agree to this today?
First of all, I think the only thing that Mr. Hague is asking for is a motion just to confirm the request from city staff to use city funds for the abatement, but there is a process, and it's set forth in 8-55 and 8-56, and that code provision provides, trying to get it before you ask me a question.
I'll talk slower.
It's 10 days. There's a 10-day notice that has to go out, and the reason that would be done is for two purposes. One is the code requires the notice, and the second purpose is it sets it up for the lien process. Once they do the abatement, that the city will be able to record that lien.
But this doesn't have to go before the council or anything?
No, this is all city initiated.
Okay.
And they're just asking for your support for the purposes of using monies out of the city general fund, whether it's there as a result of code enforcement fine collections or whatever other revenue is in that particular fund. But you really haven't seen one of these before. This is something new that they're asking. That doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yeah. Well, yesterday in the news there was a lot about that no-land storm. And if one of those come along, I wouldn't want to be living in your house.
Hey, last month, my niece just had a tree fall on her house, and the city hadn't taken action. This is in Ohio, so don't worry. Mr. Hague was pretty specific, but would you like to add any comments, Mr. Cohn?
No, as long as they get it down, within, I'd say, 12 foot span, all of it.
Are both of those trees dead? That tall one toward the back looks like it could actually.
On this case, there's only one tree that's dead.
Okay.
I agree. It looks like there are two dead trees in this picture.
There's a big limb hanging off of it. The only thing holding it up is it has some big vines.
Yeah.
Just dangles.
All right. Well, any closing statements, Mr. Hague, that you would like to make?
I just would encourage the board to support us in our abatement program. In this case, I believe Mr. Cohn has a serious threat to his life, and I don't know how else to resolve it. the property owner is ignoring it. And being a life safety issue, I think we have an obligation to take some action.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention. I'm going to close this now to the public portion of this and leave it for board discussion. Does the board have any other discussion with regard to this before we make a motion? This will be an interesting motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented before this board that the Code Enforcement Board of the City of Tarpon Springs votes to support the city's position that abatement funds should be used in order to resolve the issue addressed in case 11-800000880.
Second.
Very good. Well done.
Any board discussion? All right. Roll call, please, Bobby.
Mr. Saberski?
Yes.
Mr. DeMoss?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Sansoda?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Hagan.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, no minutes to approve. Any comments? Any public comments? Any board comments at this time? I want to welcome Jerry and Annie and Al.
Thank
Al
you.
is coming back from 9 years of prior service. This is the first time I've met Annie, and Jerry was an old friend from back when we worked for United Airlines. Now he's an older friend.
More ways than one.
Any other comments? Bobby.
The pictures, have they made it all the way down?
No, we didn't get the pictures of the trees.
Whoops.
We went that way.
Did you give are you holding the
He
picture?
probably is. He wants to study them.
No, I don't. I thought I passed them out.
They made it past us. Is that where they are?
Yeah, he passed them on. I got them.
Mr. Kramer is taking them home, isn't he?
No.
Okay.
Buy a notepad on the way home so you don't have to steal paper from Kate.
Wait a minute. This isn't the pictures. No. I got him. He passed them.
Al had it.
Okay.
I would like to make a comment, if I might. I am very, very pleased to be back here, but I'm really quite surprised to see so many new faces. With the exception of our attorney, and Wanda, who I got to know quite well. And I spent 9 years on the board, spent a year off, and went on to planning and zoning and couldn't stand it.
Well, thank you very much for returning.
Well, I wanted to get back on this board. It's a great board to be on. It really is.
Bobby, of course, please receive those photographs into evidence.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Right there.
Okay, I have a question, and before I ask it, Tom has a son in the military, and he asked him to update us on what he's up to. So, what's coming up?
He's still at Fort Benning. He's still teaching the use of the Bradley fighting vehicle as a gunner and a driver. And he's expected to be, we got the news, to stay as his home base, Fort Benning, for another 2 years.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy to hear about, but because of the budget cuts, they've moved him out of the division, or the command that he's in, and they moved him to the 129th Infantry Division, which basically means that there's a greater likelihood of deployment at this point. So, appreciate the thoughts on that.
Thank you for
Pray for peace.
Tom, we're proud of his son.
Thank you. So am I.
You want to?
All right, any other, comments? It is, 3:17, and meeting's adjourned. Thank you.